Oh, Djarin, you are in for it now. What's up, YouTubers of the world? MegaGeekMixer here to give you guys my review on this week's episode of Season 2 of Star Wars Mandalorian. Oh, guys, what an episode. This really has set the stage now for the last 4 episodes going forward for Season 2. It just makes you wonder, how are they going to survive this? How are they going to prevent Baby Yoda or the child from getting captured? Because here we are finally given a hint on what it is Moff Gideon wants with the child. But before getting into that, I must first say that Karth Weather, who plays as Grief Karga, who appears in this episode, directed this episode, and man, you did an awesome job here with how it had these three trio of characters, Din Djarin, Kara, and Grief Karga working together again. It's always great to see the main trio working together again to take on things with moving the plot forward, as they knocked out a remnant's Imperial base, but they found out there was more to that Imperial base than meets the eye, but also in the fact that it gave us this true Western style like always, a shootout, a car chase, or in this case, a speed biker chase, along with Imperial TIE fighters going after it. And most of all, we actually got Din Djarin in an actual ship battle. Sure, we've seen briefs of it back in Season 1, but we never really got to see it on full display like we did in this episode. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Karth Weather. You did amazing, and all I gotta say is thank you. I want to see you direct another video here soon. Now, having said all that, though, first off, let's just say that all these scenes with Din Djarin and the child together, during out their adventures together, can we not? We all know that father-son bond has been growing stronger and stronger and stronger with every episode. Episode 2 really showed it, and then at the beginning of this episode was really showing it here, as he was trying to teach the kid how to do mechanics sort of thing. But of course the kid doesn't really know what he's doing, but at the same time, seeing them simultaneously drinking their soup together was awesome. But one thing I took notice of here was during that time, the child was trying to take a look at what his face looks like when he pulled the helmet up a little just to sip his soup. This just shows to me even more that I think it's clear the child's going to want to stay with Mando for good, and yeah, be a Mandalorian if it were not. I mean, hey, if we already had a Mandalorian be part of the Jedi Order once before, let's not have somebody who has force sensitive nature be a Mandalorian. That's all I gotta say to that. And I also gotta say that Ahsoka, she might even start to see it herself. And even if she and Din Djarin will probably think that it's best that he goes with her, something tells me the child's not gonna give him choice. He wants to be with Din Djarin. It's clear to that right there. If that scene right there showed anything, it's clear on that end. Now, having said all that, though, let's go ahead. Let's get on with everything else that happened in this plot. First of all, great to see Navarro again, and oh boy, has it changed a lot, and I mean a lot. It's in a way the opposite of what happened in Gotham when it went into that no man's land and the last season of it. In no man's land, criminals had their different areas, and then there was a green zone run by the GCPD. Well, that's kind of what it was here, except it was in a more better term sort of sense. First off, Kara is now the marshal, while Grief Karga still does clerical work and everything. Like, he could be the chief if he wants to, but he's leaving that up to Kara. He's still Kara's boss and stuff, but they're pretty much like chiefs of their town now. Because even in the town where Din Djarin was during when the guild was around, it's been transformed so much you could see it as you're walking through. All these citizens and locals able to live a more comfortable, calmer life. They even got a school now. That's crazy, but awesome. Shows how much Kara has been working her ass off cleaning things up around that town. And then they showed a little map of there being a green zone, which is much bigger than it was with the Gotham world. And then they showed the remnants of the Empire, a base they had, which they thought was a military base, but they found out, oh no, that wasn't the case. But we'll get to that here in a minute. First off, we gotta also mention that Mando came back to Navarro because he needed repairs done to his ship. Too bad he, Grief Karga, and Cara Dune didn't know that the mechanics they allowed to finish working on his Crazer Rest, one of them was a spy for the remnants of the Empire, for Moff Gideon. And at the end of this episode, a tracer was put on his ship. So this shows that come next episode, Djarin is going to be ambushed big time, if not ambushed later on. Because in next episode, I can't say for certain if that's the episode Ahsoka's going to finally make her live action debut, but we'll find out soon enough on that end. But while we don't know exactly when she'll show up, we do know this. We do know this much. Like I said, Mando's going to be ambushed one way or another, and it looks like the child's going to finally be in Moff Gideon's hands here. And now, having said that, though, let's finally go into the base they were going to destroy. First off, they got assistance from that guy that Din Djarin captured in episode 1, that blue fish looking guy who had some very interesting special effects showing as he was showing fear when Mando showed himself up. I was like, whoa, that's cool. What is that? I don't know what it was, but it was cool and I just wanted to mention it. But going straight on in, they invaded that place. They set the reactor to overcharge so that place could be blown up and finally be rid of the remnants of the Empire once and for all. However, though, as they were leaving, they discovered some very key information. First off, one of them is in the fact that Din Djarin now knows that Moff Gideon is still alive, thanks to a transmission that he and his allies saw in the form of that guy back in season 1, the one who didn't want the child to be killed. I don't know his name, but he was working with a client who it's clear he was working for Moff Gideon all along. He talks about how like they need the child's blood for what looks to be like cloning experiments, which no surprise there. It was said by other YouTubers and many of us started figuring it out ourselves that this guy comes from, or if not related or has connections to Canaan, what is that again? I forget the name of that planet. Camino, yes, Camino. Just needed to remember it off the top of my head. But Camino, the place where Jango Fett was cloned, and those clones were used during the Clone Wars. So that's the only lead we got right now. And yet, whether that's true or not, one thing's for certain. It's clear that they need this child for something. I can't help but think this is how they were able to get so many clones of Snoke, the master of Kylo Ren during the prequel trilogy. And I can't help but think that's also how they're bringing back Palpatine. They're going to use that kid's blood to bring him back. But that's just a guess right now. I can't confirm that completely. That's just my hint for it going forward. But with that having been said, though, this really makes things even more crazier that even Grief Karga and Kara are going to see themselves maybe in the final showdown even bigger to them than they think, especially Kara, who at the end of this episode knew Republican soldiers came in because they knew about the remnant empire base being destroyed, and there the guy talked with Kara and knows that she is a resident of Alderaan. Here we've actually got to get a deep more look into how affected Cara Dune was with Alderaan being destroyed. She says she lost everyone she ever knew, everyone she ever loved, and anything she ever cared about on her planet destroyed. Makes you see how much it affected her. We already knew it affected her well, considering how like she'll easily help take down anyone who's still part of the Imperial remnants of the Empire. But this also helps us maybe see things even more because we know she's going to join forces with Din Djarin, no doubt Bo-Katan, and other allies of his when he needs all the help he can get to rescue the child. Because I think it's pretty clear right now, guys, that eventually the child's going to be captured by Moff Gideon. Whether they make it in time to save his life or not, I don't know. I hope they do, because if they kill that kid, I'm gonna be super mad at about that. Why would you want to kill off that kid? I mean, I know it would probably make sense story-wise, but look at that kid. Look how popular he's become. You do not want to do that. That's gonna be a mistake, but uh, what can you do when it comes to TV productions? They gotta make a call on some things, and this may just be one of those things, but I pray and hope that's not true. That's all I gotta say on that end. But I also want to talk about the fact that something I found out about here earlier was the actor of Bo-Katan talking about there not being a spin-off, even though there was rumors of it being there, and that in that series that Bo-Katan and Cara Dune were going to be the main focus of that spin-off series. Now they're saying, now when they said they haven't been told of anything, is that saying the rumors aren't true? Who knows? Or is that saying she just wasn't told about it yet? That's a possibility too. All I know is though that if this is going to happen and it makes Cara, if there is a spin-off and those two are going to be the main characters, I'm guessing Cara Dune and Bo-Katan are going to meet sometime later on during the season finale of this season and work together going into season 3. That's my guess, because I did hear that those two got pretty cool with each other backstage and stuff. So, and I would make me think that's because their characters had to work together a lot in these next 4 episodes. But either way, all I know is great episode, so much setting up for the final 4 episodes going into season 4, and it leaves you with a few questions somewhat answered, but still more questions to be answered. Like those soldiers that were lined up in Moff Gideon's place when we finally see him physically and not through a hologram. I'm afraid to wonder what those soldiers are. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and leave it all at that, guys. And hey, if you're enjoying my videos, all you got to do is click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be notified when I make more videos. And until then, Mega Geek Mixer signing out. Bye!